And we're back with another episode. Welcome back into the Sports Information Podcast, Season 2, Episode 4. I'm your host, Hopkins. As always, we are back with another week of recaps, game winner picks, must-see TV picks, who's going to cover the spreads, who's not, and listener questions. No producer questions tonight, as this is literally my umpteenth take at doing this, as my iPhone keeps saying storage is full and I keep have to reconfiguring things around to make this work for you all, and I'm happy to do it. But our producer had to go home. He's got to get some Z's. He's got to be up early teaching kids. He volunteer coaches in the afternoons and the evenings. He's a busy man and we appreciate his time. Shout out the producer. Sad to be doing it without him, but so the show must go on. And it's 2 a.m. Tuesday night, Wednesday morning, however you want to call that. But we're doing it, and we're here. And we're jumping straight into Thursday night football. Miami at Buffalo. Called it, hit the nail right on the head. Double-digit win for Buffalo. Easy win in the division for Buffalo. They moved to 3-0 on the year. And we moved to 1-0 on week 3 picks. If you'll notice the new abacus over here, newest piece of studio equipment, shout out one of our viewers, hooked me up with that after last week's mishap where I had to recount maybe as many times as I've had to retake this video tonight. All right, moving on to Sunday night, or Sunday afternoon football rather. Goodness gracious, we started off with a horrible one, 0-30 loss for us and the Falcons as we picked them to beat the Panthers, and the Panthers dismantled them. This one was so bad, I didn't get to watch any of it, but it was so bad I didn't even go look at the stats, the film, anything. I didn't care. It's just a bad beat. Got it dead wrong. Don't know how that happened. Maybe I'll look into that later. But that's a loss, so we're 1-1. Indy at Tennessee, got it right, 2-1. Super stoked to be a Colts fan this year. Super happy to be a Colts fan. Daniel Jones looks like Josh Allen Jr. Not saying he is. Not saying he isn't. But I think he obviously had a Eberflus and Caleb Williams problem in Chicago. But Shane Steichen has turned that man's career around. If he left Indy tomorrow, he'd go get some decent offers elsewhere just based on these first 3 weeks. So I'm excited to be a Colts fan. I'm excited to see if Daniel Jones can stay even remotely consistent. I don't have high hopes that this is going to continue at this rate, because at this rate we're at Super Bowl contenders, right? But temper the expectations. It's been the theme all year. I'm going to keep saying it. Happy with the win, though. Pittsburgh at New England. We'll touch more on that later, but that was a win for us as well. New York at Tampa Bay. Guys, Tampa Bay struggled. They're going to continue to struggle with those 3-0 linemen out. But Bake Show, you locked in a 3-0 start. That's huge, considering the fact that I picked you guys to win 10 games. So great win for Tampa Bay there. Next week's going to be tough, though. We'll touch more on that later, too. LA at Philly, horrible beat. We were right until we weren't. Sean McVay, the coaching staff, management, the team, you should be ashamed. You should be embarrassed. Not only did you have that game in complete control, you then found a way to lose and give away that game. It's unacceptable. It's inexcusable. And it's so frustrating and just infuriating as a fan, as a viewer. And I can't imagine how you guys feel after that loss as well. Philly did everything they could to come back in that second half. They played much better than they did in the first. The defense deserves a ton of credit, obviously, for the blocked field goal. But Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis came up with a huge stop late game as well. That was a turnover on downs. And it was either a third down. I believe it was a turnover on downs. And it was a big momentum shift for that Philly team. Bengals at Minnesota. Listen, Philly, I warned you all year that it was going to be a tough year to be a Bengals fan and tough year to watch you guys. I didn't know it was going to be a 48-point dropped on your head by Carson Wentz tough year to watch. Holy smokes. I think that's obviously a lot more credit to Kevin O'Connell and that system and the Brian Flores defense being what it is. But yikes. Tough year to be a Bengals fan. Got that one right, though, too, didn't we? We got to put another loss column because we lost that one. Houston at Jacksonville. Got this one right, and this feels like a very Jacksonville Jaguars type of win. You beat up on a down-and-out divisional opponent. You don't score 20 points, but you still somehow find a way to win by a touchdown. It's pretty impressive. I got to be honest, and it feels like something that the Jags do often, particularly to my Colts in the past years, and I can't wait to play them this year because we're going to beat them. But Green Bay at Cleveland, another one that we just got dead wrong. I'm going to stop using the abacus. You get the point. I need it sometimes, but this week I pre-counted, and I know the record. We'll get to it later. Green Bay at Cleveland, just a downright dirty loss for us, for Green Bay. Another one that the coaching staff, the team, you should be ashamed. You should be embarrassed. You were up 10-0 at halftime, and then you got skunked in the second half, and the Cleveland Browns beat you with 13 points. It's crazy. It's ridiculous. If I'm a fan, I'm not public about it. So all you Green Bay fans, probably take it out of your bios, take down all your posts. You know, that's crazy. No, I'm kidding. Don't be a fair weather fan, but you should be embarrassed about week 3. Las Vegas at Washington. We were right. We said Washington was going to win. We weren't right on how. I said it was going to involve Jaden Daniels. That's because when we record these on Tuesday nights, we're earlier than some of the injury reports sometimes. So didn't realize Jaden Daniels was going to be out this game, but nonetheless, we were right on who won. So we'll take that. Denver at LA. The Chargers are one of 2 teams to beat in the AFC. It's them and the Bills. It's the Chargers and the Bills, guys. And if you don't believe me, let's take a quick look at these standings here. The Bills are 3-0. The Chargers are 3-0. And the Colts are 3-0. You can't consider a team that's already been beaten a team to beat. Not at this stage. And the only other ones that you would consider that are, I guess, the Bengals because they're 2-1, but we're not impressed with that yet. The Ravens, who are 1-2, I wouldn't consider them a team to beat. They've been beaten more times than they've won. The Chiefs, 1-2, same concept. And yeah, so it's the Bills and the Chargers, and the Chargers look as good as any team right now, I think. And Jim Harbaugh is a tremendous coach. Justin Herbert is a top 5 talent at the QB position. That throw that he made to Keenan Allen for the game-winning touchdown. There's only a handful of quarterbacks in the league that can make that throw, and I don't even know if there's a full handful. It might only be 3 or 4 guys that can make that throw. Give me a Josh Allen, give me Patrick Mahomes, give me Matt Stafford and Herbert, and maybe Joe Burrow. Maybe. I would need to see it to actually. I would need to see that. I've seen that out of the other guys I named. I haven't seen that out of Burrow. So those are the 4 guys that I would say could make that throw. And, I mean, dude, Omarion Hampton probably a hit at the rookie running back position. The receiving core looks awesome. A lot to say about the Chargers there. Denver, put up a good fight. New Orleans at Seattle was never in question. The Saints are bad. They've got a couple wins on their schedule this year, maybe. They play the Panthers twice. They play the Dolphins and the Patriots. A couple other bad teams as well. But Seattle was going to handle that through and through. I didn't necessarily see a 40 bomb on the board, but hey, get it where you can get it, right? Arizona at San Francisco. Oh, another bad beat. Arizona, just a bad football team this year, guys. And Marvin Harrison Jr. looks like not a bust, but he doesn't look like the draft pick that he was, so to speak. The top whatever draft pick he was. He was inside the top 10, I know, maybe top 5 even. Was he second overall? I don't know. Just bad football by the Cardinals. Kyle Shanahan has Mac Jones looking like he's on a resurgence tour, and he's just not. He's a product of that system and having Christian McCaffrey on the team. But he is throwing the ball downfield, and he's throwing it well, and he's obviously leading them to wins. So credit where credit is due. Dallas at Chicago. We were on the wrong side of this one for a few reasons. Skeptical about picking the Bears after being wrong through weeks 1 and 2. So we're 0-3 on Bears games. A little high on the Dallas offense. Knew the Dallas defense was going to get lit up. Knew that Caleb Williams was set to have a really good game because of that. Should have really foreseen Caleb and the Bears wanting to stick it to Eberflus. I thought Eberflus would come a little more prepared as a coach who got demoted essentially to a defensive coordinator, even though he's on another team now. It's not like an in-house demotion. He was fired, and then another team just hired him as a lower position. But nonetheless, I anticipated a little too much from the Cowboys, or I over-anticipated. I don't know what I'm trying to say. I'm too tired at this point. I was wrong on the Cowboys, and I was too high on the offense. There we go. Put it in layman's terms. And so we were wrong on that game. And again, another week where we're wrong on the Bears, and it makes it tougher to pick them moving forward because the emotional side starts to weigh in now. You know, the fear factor of, I was wrong this week, but I was wrong. There's a mental game going on with these picks. And the Bears are in the head rent-free right now. Kansas City at New York. Kansas City saved their season by not going 0-3. Kansas City saved their season by not going 0-3 to the Giants. And Kansas City, yeah, I'll just leave it at that. Good job getting the win, I guess. We got it right, so we'll take the point. Detroit at Baltimore, 6th loss of the week for us. Terrible showing by Baltimore. Derrick Henry can't hold on to the football, and Detroit's a hell of a lot better than we thought they were going to be, especially preseason. That O-line is not struggling nearly as much as I thought it would, and Dan Campbell is filling in all the cracks of the missing coordinators. We saw the cracks in week 1, and Dan Campbell immediately did everything he could to fill it, and he's crushing it, man. He's an awesome coach. So credit where credit is due. Those are our week 3 picks. Excuse me. We were 10-6 overall. That puts us at 33-15 on the year. That's at about 68.75%. We're shooting for 75% on the year. We were in the low 80s. It'll be like 81, 82% last year. That's obviously really high, and I don't know how sustainable that is. So we're shooting for 75 or better. 3 and 4 games we want to get right. A little below that mark right now. Plenty of football to make it up. Jumping over into week 4. This is where we make it up. Right here, right now, and then we get ahead. Seattle at Arizona. I just said it, guys. Arizona's bad right now. I don't know if they're bad long term, but Kyler Murray doesn't look good. I don't think he's an actual legit NFL quarterback. I think he's a capable one, but that doesn't mean you're a good one. Okay? That doesn't mean you're a division-winning, lead your team to a playoff appearance even type of quarterback. I don't think he is that guy. I think Marvin Harrison is just struggling from, 1, having bad quarterback play, but 2, I don't know what the rest of his struggles are, but there's more to it because it's not just the quarterback play. Because what was that missed catch last week? That just stuff like that that's not supposed to be not who he is, you know? I can't quite put my finger on what's going on, but Arizona's going to lose that game. Minnesota at Pittsburgh. Give me Minnesota. I think Pittsburgh could definitely, I guess, steal this at home, considering Minnesota's the favorites here. I didn't even notice that. But I think that Minnesota's just the better team right now. And I like Minnesota's coaching staff better. I like their defense better. Give me Minnesota. Washington at Atlanta. After what I saw last week, there's no way Washington doesn't win this game, right? Man. A game like last week makes it so tough to pick, win or lose, a game involving Atlanta. But I'm going to go with Washington. They certainly look like the better team even before last week, but especially after last week. New Orleans at Buffalo. Give me Buffalo by 1 billion. Probably favor Buffalo to cover that spread. Tennessee at Houston. We're going to go with Houston. I think Tennessee's the worst team in that division. And I think Cam Ward's playing a little bad right now. He looks pretty bad. And I was wrong. I said he deserves some more media attention. I can't keep giving that take publicly. I've got to bottle that one up and just wait till he has a breakout game and get my 1 hour of I told you so and leave it at that. So give me Houston. Cleveland at Detroit. Detroit should handle that more than fine. The only thing that I think we'll see in that game where Detroit might struggle is in the pass game. They might struggle with pass protection. That Cleveland D-line, Myles Garrett, might give that O-line some problems. And we'll see some of those worries that I thought we were gonna see with the O-line. We'll see them to some extent, but I still don't think it'll be to an extent where we're sounding alarms by any means. And Cleveland's secondary is obviously pretty solid with Denzel Ward and PS2. We're very, very scared of those guys throwing the ball their way, but Detroit should handle that no problem. Philly at Tampa. Like I said, Tampa, great first start. Great first 3 weeks. Great start to the year. 3-0. Only 7 more wins to go for me to be right about a 10-win season. You're going to lose to Philly, though. Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis are going to give your O-line problems. Being down to Emeka Egbuka and the Rugrats or whoever you got coming in to fill in Godwin, Evans, and Jalen McMillan spots. It's going to be a tough week for Tampa, I think. Carolina at New England. Again, this is Carolina being in a game that they were in last week makes it tough to pick a game that they're involved in this week, especially when it's against a team that's also not that good. And you're like, wow, they just shut out a divisional opponent and they hung 30 points on them. Why couldn't they go get a win on the road against a non-divisional opponent, even a non-conference opponent? Because I think it's tough to win in Foxborough. That's why it was so impressive when Steelers did it last week, and it's been forever since Mike Tomlin's done that. I also think that the Patriots are probably a little better than the Panthers this year. Let me do a little quick fact check just on points for and against. Patriots have scored 60 and allowed 68, while the Panthers have scored 62 and allowed 53. So according to score differential, that's wrong. According to record, 1-2 versus 1-2, about the same. Opponents played, I'd have to pull up the schedules. Don't really have the time for that tonight. I'm going to go with New England here. Go with my gut. That spread's probably a little high. I would take Carolina to cover the spread. I'd say maybe a field goal or less. Los Angeles at New York. Did you listen to the first 10 minutes? Because I said Los Angeles team to beat in the AFC. I just had a Tyrese Halliburton voice change moment. Whoa. Los Angeles is a team to beat in the AFC, and the Giants are, well, moving to starting Jackson Dart this week. So give me the Chargers. Jacksonville at San Francisco. This feels like a game that Jacksonville could definitely go steal, especially if Brian Thomas plays remotely better than he's been playing. And if Travis Hunter has any sort of breakout game on the offensive side of the ball, and or if Travis Hunter has any sort of breakout game, it's either Brian Thomas Jr. does well and or Travis Hunter does well. It could be both, and they definitely could win. But if one of those happens, they could still definitely win. And if Travis Etienne is able to stay consistent, I don't feel comfortable siding with that and committing to that. I think it could happen. So I wouldn't be surprised if I end up wrong this week on this, but I'm going to go with the 49ers just because I trust Shanahan more. I trust that defense more. And I trust Christian McCaffrey more than I trust anyone on Jacksonville's offense. So, including Trevor Lawrence, obviously. Indy at LA. I think this is going to be Indy's first loss. I am 1-2 on Colts games this year. The only one I've gotten right is last week. I picked against them in the first 2 weeks. This one's not at home. Last week's wasn't at home either, I know, but that was against Tennessee, a bad opponent, a divisional opponent, someone we see year over year, twice a year, and we know them very well. The Rams, less familiar with them. I think they've got the better head coach, despite my affection for Steichen and what he's doing. And yeah, I think Sean McVay's the better coach. I hope that doesn't need too much of an explanation. I think Stafford's the better quarterback, obviously, despite Daniel Jones playing out of his mind right now. We've definitely got the better running back. They have the better receiving core. I think they have the better defense. Our defense is really solid right now, though. Kenny Moore and Cam Bynum especially playing out of their mind in the secondary. And this could even be a close game. 3.5 is probably a really on-par spread, at least with how the Colts have been playing. But I do think that Daniel Jones is going to have the most trouble he's had all season against the Rams. And I think the Rams are going to play with a vengeance this week after letting last week slip away with them. At least I'd hope. Baltimore at KC. Gosh, man, they're both 1-2. Baltimore's been playing like just stupid football, and that's why they've been losing. And it's not even been the full game. They've looked really dominant in a lot of spots. Even like week 1 was insane. Even last week they looked pretty okay. I mean, more than pretty okay. They looked pretty good. They didn't look dominant last week, but and the Chiefs have the Chiefs have hung in almost every game they've played. They just come up short, and it's because they're just, I don't know, aloof this year or burnt out. I don't know what it is with them either. Exactly. Like, I can't pinpoint these issues. It's so weird. And I'm watching a lot of these teams' tapes too, in a lot of their games, because that's what people want to hear about, and those are the games we want to see. Those are the marquee matchups. Oh. Give me the Chiefs. Give me the Chiefs here. Originally, I wanted to say Baltimore all day. I'd been thinking, I want to say Baltimore. You want to think that Harbaugh and Lamar and those guys are going to find a way to get it done. You think Henry's going to clean it up. Even if Henry does clean it up, which I think he will, I don't think he'll fumble for a 4th straight game. You hope. I just think Kansas City needs to go 2-2 more than Baltimore does to feel good about things, especially considering how good the Chargers look. The Ravens could start 1-3 and still win their division. The Chiefs can't start 1-3 and still win their division, I don't think. So, yeah, give me Chiefs here. They're in a more desperate spot, I think, than the Ravens. And people think that the Ravens are better than they've been playing, certainly. People don't think that about the Chiefs, and I think they want to prove that to others, but more so themselves. So give me the Chiefs there. Chicago at Las Vegas. I'm surprised to see Vegas favored here. Give me Chicago. 0-3 on Bears picks. This is where we turn it around. Like I said, I don't remember if I said it in this take, actually. It might have been in the last take that didn't go all the way through. Las Vegas, we were a little high on them. They're not as good as we said they were going to be. They're still definitely in contention to double their win total, but they're not as good as we said or the media at large said they were going to be this year. Green Bay at Dallas. Green Bay's going to win that. I have no trepidations about that. I think that... Is that the right word? I'm so tired, I don't even know if I'm saying the right words anymore. I have no reservations about that. I think trepidations is a synonym to that. Maybe it's not. New York Jets at Miami. Give me New York. I feel weird saying that, but, I mean, the Jets, we've got 69 points for, 93 points against. The Dolphins have 97 points against, so both defenses are pretty bad, but the Dolphins are only able to put up 56 points. That's 13 points fewer. And the Jets put up 27 points last week without their starting quarterback. And I don't know that they're going to have him again. I don't know that they'll have Justin Fields again this week, but that's a good showing. It's enough to feel confident about. And I just think Miami's really that bad this year, guys. So give me the Jets here. Cincinnati at Denver. I think Denver's going to win this game. I think it's going to be a tough one for Cincy. At least you guys still have Jamar Chase. All right. Flying through this. I really want to try and get this episode out and done. So now we're going to jump over to listener questions or dive straight into it. We'll get to this in a minute for one of the questions. But as of now, can I get your top 3 teams in each division? Says J Bates 2011. Sure, buddy. In the AFC East, it's going to be pretty chalk. It's the Bills, the Patriots, the Jets in that order, and that is currently the standings. AFC West standings are Chargers, Raiders, Broncos, Chiefs. Give me the Chargers, the Chiefs, and the Broncos. AFC North, Bengals, Steelers, Ravens, Browns. I would take the Ravens, the Steelers, the Bengals. And I'm only taking the Bengals over the Browns because I like Jamar Chase a lot, and I think he elevates that offense a ton, and I don't think Myles Garrett quite elevates the Browns' defense the way he used to. And despite liking Stefanski a lot more than I like Zach Taylor, the Jamar Chase and T. Higgins duo just offsets so much of it for me. And I like Jake Browning probably more than I like... Probably as much as I like any quarterback on the Browns, honestly. AFC South, Colts, Jags, Texans, Titans. That's the standings, and that's probably the order. So give me the Colts, the Jags, and the Texans as the top 3 teams there. Heading over to the NFC. Also, I just thought of this halfway through this question. I really hope you meant divisions and not conference, because if so, you're getting way more than you asked for. But you know what? That's the beauty of this podcast. You typically do get more than you ask for. Anyway, NFC East, standings, Eagles, Commanders, Cowboys, Giants. There's maybe an argument. No, there's no argument for the Cowboys over the Commanders. Give me the Eagles, the Commanders, the Cowboys, in order. I like that. NFC West, I'm definitely changing this one around. You've got the Niners at the top, the Rams, the Cardinals, the Seahawks. I would take the Rams at the top, the Niners, and then the Seahawks over the Cardinals. NFC North, Packers, Vikings, Lions, Bears. I will take Packers, and then you could argue either one. I'm a big fan of the Vikings because of Jettas, the coaching staff, the defense, the defensive coordinator. But I'm gonna put some respect on their name. I'm gonna admit to being wrong once again on how affected they were gonna be by the O-line changes and the coordinator changes. I'm going to say the Packers are number 1 still, but the Lions are 2 and the Vikings are 3. And then in the NFC South, you got the Bucks, the Panthers, the Falcons, the Saints. Looking at these numbers, you have to give the nod to the Panthers over the Falcons. I don't want to. I was really wrong on the Falcons, apparently, according to my preseason takes. But the Bucks are one with a bullet in that division, and then according to the points for and points against numbers, I mean, the Panthers have 20 more points for than the Falcons do, meaning they've scored 20 more points through these 3 games, and they've allowed 6 less points. And they've won the same amount of games, and the Panthers' only win is over the Falcons, and one of the 2 losses of the Falcons is to the Panthers. And it's a 0 to 30 point loss. So, Bucks, Panthers, Falcons, that's the NFC South standings. And that's, according to me. So, those are my top 3 teams in each division. Another question. We got 2 more in a row, actually, from J Bates 2011. He says, we've seen some big injuries this past week. James Conner, Mike Evans, Najee Harris, CeeDee Lamb. Can you talk implications on who will have the biggest hole to fill and who stands to gain the most fantasy value? Biggest holes to fill, I think, are going to be Trey Benson, the backup in Arizona for James Conner, and probably George Pickens in Dallas behind CeeDee Lamb, because I mean, how do you fill a guy like CeeDee Lamb's role? He's a top 3 receiver in the league when he's healthy. It's him, Jettas, and Jamar. Top 4 at worst if you want to throw Puka up there. But yeah, I would say that's one of the biggest holes to fill. And then the James Conner hole. James Conner's a great workhorse, has been when he's healthy. You hate to see him go down with an injury like that. I think this injury for the Cardinals is going to unfortunately be part of it. The injury isn't going to be, but the injury itself is going to be part of the biggest highlight when we look back on the season for the Cardinals. And when I say highlight, I mean highlight of the season for them. One of the biggest, if not the biggest, is going to be getting to see what Trey Benson is. And that only happened because his reps are only increasing because of the injury. So one bad thing is going to lead to a really positive thing for them. But that's a big role for him to fill as well. I also think Trey Benson stands the most to gain from a fantasy perspective, as well as Omar Hampton in L.A. behind Najee Harris. Those 2 running backs are stepping into RB1 roles on teams that run the ball and need their production. So I hope that helps, buddy. Hope that helps you win some weeks in fantasy too. Just not against me. What's going on with Cj Stroud? Final question here from Jay Bates. Man, his O-line sucks. His receiving core is injured, and he doesn't have a run game. And the reason he looks so bad is because he's not as good as Patrick Mahomes. Plain and simple. Because those are all the same struggles that Mahomes has. No run game, struggling O-line, really banged up receiving core. Mahomes finds a way to look way better than Stroud does. And, I hate to make this about Mahomes. I'm not trying to, but I just would like to point out that there are quarterbacks, like Josh Allen would be able to do way better on the Texans right now than Stroud is. So, and what I'm getting at is Stroud's a little fraudulent in regards to the reputation and the credit that he's gotten based on his one good season, which was his rookie season, where he had a significantly better O-line, a significantly better run game, and healthy receivers. All right, Finstinks TTV. That's Instincts with an F in front. Finstinks TTV stands for Twitch TV. It's my boy Cole. Go check him out on Twitch TV. He's a streamer. He says, I love to see the Steelers over New England. History says Steelers lose. This was clearly commented before the game. And yeah, history does say Steelers probably go in there and lose at Foxborough, but we rewrote history and we made the right pick that week. It's typically what we do here on the pod. And our final viewer question of the evening comes from my girlfriend, Sam Tilley. She does not have a YouTube account, so she gets called by her first and last name. But she says, of the teams that remain undefeated, 3-0, rank them best to worst. And of the teams that remain winless, 0-3, rank them best to worst. I went ahead and done that over here on the screen. Also, hold on. I just glanced over this. My girlfriend supports the channel, watches the YouTube videos, but doesn't have a YouTube account, so I don't get any of the credit for it. We don't get the view. She doesn't comment on it. She doesn't subscribe. How phony is that shit, guys? Go find her on Instagram and call her out. But 3-0 teams, the Bills are the best of those teams, and you can't tell me otherwise. Eagles are second best. Chargers are third. Bucks are fourth. Colts are fifth. Niners are sixth. If you want to put Niners over the Colts, argue with a wall right now. I'm not convinced. Your quarterback is not better. I said it. Your quarterback's not better. Neither one of them. Not Brock. Not Mac. Your running back is less explosive than ours is now, but he's probably better. I don't know if I'm comfortable saying that, actually. Let me take my foot out of my mouth. I don't know. I think I like everything about the Colts better, actually, now that I'm thinking about it. We've got a younger, less injured running back. I'll take our coach up there with Shanahan. Your coach can't win the big game. Ours is undecided. He's never been in it as a head coach, but he's gotten there as a coordinator, and he lost because his head coach was a bozo at the time. His head coach has since won a Super Bowl. But yeah, give me that order for 3-0 teams. And then Texans, Dolphins, Titans, Saints, New York Giants for the 0-3 teams in that order. And here's what I ultimately decided. I'm not comfortable putting these teams in any order and publicly giving the opinion, so I just had to do it. And the only reason I have the Texans at the front of this is because I like DeMeco Ryans more than I like any of the other head coaches there. So that is my final take for the 0-3 teams as to who's best and who's worst. I'm not confident in putting those guys in any order because they're all playing really bad right now, and they all look really vulnerable and bad. And none of them look like they have any shot at making it to the playoffs. That's our Week 4 episode. I know that was a little quicker than usual, kind of under that 40-minute mark, but I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope this recorded all the way through this time and I don't get up and it's storage full. That would really suck because it's almost 3 a.m. But good night, good morning, whatever it is, and we'll see you in Week 5. Like, share, subscribe.